You're about to discover what your own body can't do. Some migratory birds can track prey or navigate by reading components of the Earth's magnetic field. Other animals can see patterns where we see nothing, or detect the faintest body heat in complete darkness. In this countdown, each sense reveals how nature solved a problem we didn't even know existed. Many evolved as precise ecological tools, shaping entire relationships between animals and plants. Watch closely, because the last one flips our entire idea of navigation on its head. And before that, we'll explore vision that goes far beyond what human eyes can see. Picture staring at a reef and realizing your eyes catch only a fraction of its hidden signals. Humans have 3 types of color receptors: red, green, and blue, enough to mix into every shade we know. The mantis shrimp's eyes hold dozens of light-sensitive opsins, but research suggests they use roughly a dozen distinct spectral channels, including several in the ultraviolet range. It's not just more colors. Unlike us, they may identify color by which receptor fires, almost like scanning a barcode, rather than blending signals through opposing channels. Behavioral tests show they sometimes distinguish colors less precisely than humans, but they do it almost instantly, trading fine discrimination for speed. This system is built into their 6-row midband, a strip of specialized cells that splits incoming light into razor-thin segments, visible and ultraviolet, so the shrimp can react without delay. In a sunlit, shifting reef, that speed matters. Subtle color cues can help them spot a camouflaged predator, identify rival males, or select a mate in seconds. On top of that, they can detect polarized light, including circular polarization, which adds another invisible layer for seeing contrast, finding prey, or sending private signals other reef creatures can't read. We can mimic parts of their vision, but our cameras and algorithms still can't match the shrimp's mix of optical filtering, retinal structure, and rapid receptor-based coding. In their world, faster recognition often means survival. They move through a sea of patterns, flashes, and codes we don't even know are there, until science translates them for us. If the mantis shrimp thrives by reading hidden light in turbulent water, imagine the challenges of a predator that must track a moving target through turbulent air at breakneck speed. The Peregrine falcon's vision is built for extreme precision at extreme speed. Each eye holds 2 foveae, a shallow binocular fovea for targeting prey straight ahead, and a deeper lateral fovea for scanning far-off movement. Working together, they let the falcon keep both near and distant details in focus at the same time, a zoom and wide view no human eye can match. Our eyes blur when switching between distances, but the falcon's setup avoids that trade-off. Its dual focal points act like a built-in macroscope, tracking prey while also reading subtle shifts in wind and terrain that shape the dive path. Raptors also process visual frames faster than humans, reducing motion blur when moving at high velocity. During a stoop, its head tilts in tiny adjustments, engaging exactly the right section of each fovea without losing the target. These micro-movements let the bird respond instantly to sudden prey maneuvers far below. Peregrines also see into the ultraviolet range, revealing traces like sunlit feathers or tracks invisible to us. In bright, open habitats, UV vision works alongside another adaptation. Their dark malar stripes help cut solar glare, making it easier to hold focus even against a glaring sky. Together, these features turn intense sunlight from an obstacle into an advantage. From hundreds of meters up, diving at speeds over 200 miles per hour, every visual cue counts. The falcon's optical and neural precision means a strike can meet a moving target in midair with unerring accuracy. Not all animals rely on sight for this kind of precision. A few can find life's smallest signals without seeing them at all, using another sense that reaches straight into the hidden workings of the body. What if a dog could recognize a change in your health before you even noticed? Dogs carry up to hundreds of millions of scent receptors in their noses, compared to a few million in humans, giving them a detailed chemical snapshot of their surroundings with every breath. While most people think of this ability for tracking food or finding objects outdoors, trained medical detection dogs can also identify illness in controlled studies. In Parkinson's research, for example, dogs were presented with skin oil samples or sebum from patients and healthy volunteers. Even when lab analyses found no clear differences, the dogs detected scent changes linked to chemical shifts in the body, with reported accuracies around 70 to 80% sensitivity and 90 to 98% specificity in double-blind trials. This is promising for screening, but it's not yet an established diagnostic test. Dogs evolved to read overlapping scent layers in nature, plants, soil, other animals, parsing out faint odor threads from a complex background. That same ecological skill allows them to separate subtle patterns in volatile organic compounds from human metabolism. To them, each compound registers in a distinct location on an internal scent map, making a person's overall scent signature as individual as a fingerprint. When trained, they can distinguish the smell of healthy skin from that altered by disease, even before visible symptoms appear. It's not just about finding a smell. It's about interpreting it, turning a nose honed for survival into a living, breathing chemical sensor that works in real time. Some predators, though, rely on an entirely different hidden signal. Not scent, but heat, turning temperature changes into precise target locations even in the darkest night. Pit vipers carry an extra set of sensors that give them targeting information, even when sight plays little or no role. Between each eye and nostril sits a small depression called a loreal pit. These are sensitive infrared receptors, wired to detect thermal contrast and minute temperature shifts. Physiological recordings show they can pick up differences as small as about 0.001 degrees Celsius. It's tempting to imagine this as a perfect heat picture, unlike thermal cameras produce. But the system doesn't focus on static images. Instead, it's tuned to sudden changes in thermal contrast, which stand out more against certain backgrounds. In the wild, a pit viper often positions itself at the edge of dense cover facing an open area. This alignment makes a warm, moving animal pop sharply against a cooler backdrop, letting the FASIC IR system detect it quickly. Experiments show that if a moving heat source appears, these snakes turn their heads toward the point of greatest temperature change, ignoring uneven warmth in the surroundings. That ability lets them hunt effectively in cluttered habitats, where stored heat radiates from rocks, soil, or foliage. Their ambush strategy depends on this stealth and precision. A snake waits motionless until an animal moves within range, then strikes accurately, even in full darkness or with its eyes covered, because the pits feed a thermal map straight into the brain's visual processing centers. For the viper, the world at night is layered with thermal edges and movement cues invisible to most creatures. Other hunters build their maps in a completely different way, replacing heat with sound to track every detail of their surroundings in 3 dimensions. Close your eyes and imagine moving through the dark and still knowing where every wall, branch, or insect is. For bats, that's routine. They produce high-pitched ultrasonic calls, far beyond our hearing. These calls bounce off objects and the returning echoes reveal size, shape, distance, and even texture. Echolocation range depends on species and environment. Some can detect fine details close by, while others use broad echoic scenes to form acoustic landmarks over kilometer scales. Studies show certain bats navigate long distances this way, building cognitive maps from repeated echo patterns and using them to find roosts or feeding areas without sight. Over successive flights, each stable feature in the landscape becomes part of a stored map, allowing efficient travel through familiar routes. When light is present, bats don't rely on sound alone. Research shows they integrate visual cues with their acoustic maps, using both inputs to cross-check positions and avoid errors. If a familiar object appears different in silhouette, sonar confirms its identity and location instantly. This sensory fusion helps them react quickly to changes such as a new obstacle or approaching predator. Their mental mapping functions like a real-time feed. Every wing beat adds information, whether it's the flutter of a moth's wings or the line of a riverbank. At higher speeds, updates stream in faster, enabling them to maneuver safely while pursuing prey in complex terrain. Some animals, however, must work without such far-reaching senses. In their world, accurately identifying food or prey means extracting maximum information in the shortest possible time, often through a sense most of us barely credit with that level of precision. In some environments, survival depends on learning everything about an object the instant you touch it. For the star-nosed mole, that's standard. Living in waterlogged tunnels and muddy soil, its eyes offer no advantage, so it relies entirely on its unusual nose to interpret the world. That nose is a pink star of 22 flexible rays. Each is packed with thousands of touch receptors, over 100,000 nerve fibers in total, several times more than in a human hand. Every brief brush against an object floods the mole's brain with detailed sensory data. At the heart of the system is a central high-resolution region, the tactile fovea, surrounded by lower-resolution rays. Like the fovea in our eyes, it processes the finest detail, but here it's touch-replacing vision. The mole sweeps its rays over something, then shifts it into the tactile fovea for a high-precision read before moving on. This setup makes it the fastest-known mammalian forager. Research shows it can make an initial decision in just a few milliseconds and handle prey in about 120 to 250 milliseconds from contact to consumption. In that time, most animals would barely begin to register what they'd touched. Brain maps of its sensory system even resemble the visual mapping in sighted species, with the tactile fovea dominating the representation. Underground, such speed prevents missed meals in a resource-scarce habitat. Every contact counts, and every fraction of a second matters. Some species push this kind of sensory specialization even further, combining physical contact with the capacity to detect patterns of energy that give away the presence of hidden prey, even when no light is available. The platypus already looks like evolution's prank: a duck's bill, a beaver's tail, and the body of an otter. But hidden beneath that odd design is one of the most extraordinary senses in the animal kingdom: electrolocation. As fish and invertebrates move, their muscles release faint electrical signals. The platypus's bill is packed with more than 40,000 electroreceptors, allowing it to detect those signals as if the water itself were alive with currents. What makes this ability remarkable is how the platypus hunts. It closes its eyes, ears, and nostrils underwater, relying entirely on electricity to find food. Imagine navigating blindfolded, yet still knowing exactly where everything is because you can see energy fields. It's like a living submarine radar, scanning a three-dimensional map of invisible electricity. For the platypus, what looks like strangeness is actually a perfect adaptation, letting it thrive in murky rivers where other hunters fail. Its bill is not just strange, it's supernatural precision hidden in plain sight. For the platypus following a trail along a riverbed, or a fish cruising through turbid currents, the hunt happens without a single glance. But in other parts of nature, survival can hinge on reading a completely different hidden signal, one written in light that to us is invisible, but to another species is as clear as day. Some flowers carry markings that humans will never notice, but to a bee they stand out like guideposts. Bees have trichromatic vision based on ultraviolet, blue, and green receptors, which means they see a spectrum shifted from ours. This lets them detect ultraviolet patterns called nectar guides. Markings often invisible to us, but serving as direct landing cues that lead straight to a flower's nectar and pollen. To our eyes, a yellow petal may look solid, but to a bee, it might show a dark UV center, surrounded by bright contrasting rays. Some combinations, like UV plus yellow, create colors. Bees perceive that we cannot, sometimes called bees purple. These high contrast patterns reduce search time and let them zero in on food more efficiently. Bees also use the sky for orientation. Even on overcast days, they can detect patterns of polarized light formed by the sun's position, allowing them to navigate directly between flowers and their hive without losing their way. This navigational precision pairs with their rapid vision. Bees see and react to motion and color, changes several times faster than humans, which means they can identify flowers or avoid threats while flying at speed. Over millions of years, flowers and bees have shaped each other's abilities. Plants producing stronger UV patterns attracted more pollinators, while bees became better at spotting those cues. For gardeners, understanding this connection can inform pollinator-friendly planting choices, boosting both blooms and visits from bees. The result is a world mapped in signals we miss entirely, yet which bees read with ease as they carry out their daily foraging. Other species, though, navigate by an even more encompassing guide, one tied not to light at all, but to the unseen structure of the planet itself. Migratory birds can cross continents with remarkable accuracy, arriving at the same sites year after year without relying on landmarks or GPS. They achieve this in part through magnetoreception, sensing the Earth's magnetic field as a set of reliable orientation cues available anywhere on the globe. A simple compass points only to magnetic north, but birds detect multiple magnetic cues: the inclination or tilt of the field, its intensity or strength, and in some species, possibly declination. They combine these with other senses to navigate. In experiments where researchers virtually altered these cues inside enclosures, birds shifted their orientation as if suddenly relocated thousands of kilometers away. Evidence they use this information to interpret not just direction but position on a magnetic map. They seem to run a dual detection system. One channel likely depends on a light-sensitive radical pair process involving cryptochrome proteins in the eye, giving them a visual compass under certain wavelengths. The other is thought to use magnetite-based receptors linked to the trigeminal nerve, providing field intensity data to help form map-like information. This division gives them both heading and positional awareness. Not all birds may sense every component, and scientists continue to test which cues different species use and how those signals are combined. But for seasonal migrants, the result is the same: reaching breeding grounds before conditions peak, avoiding harsh winters, and in some cases, arriving in time to affect pollination, seed dispersal, and other ecological roles. It's one more example of how a sense evolves to meet a specific survival challenge, solving a problem in a way that fits perfectly into the lives of the animals that depend on it. From reefs to gardens, each of these senses matches an animal to the exact challenges of its environment. From Mantis shrimp color coding, used in reef communication, to bees' ultraviolet landing guides that shape our gardens. Every ability solves a precise ecological problem. The falcon's twin focus, the viper's thermal targeting, the bat's echo maps. None are extras. They're essential tools. Seen this way, these senses feel less strange and more like perfect answers to life's demands. Thanks for watching. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Drop a comment below and tell me which of these incredible animals surprised you the most. If you enjoyed this story about nature's engineering, don't forget to subscribe for more fascinating short stories and videos. And if you're curious about some real ancient giants, be sure to check out our next video, Top 10 Ancient Beasts That Survived Everything.